Hello everyone, I originally didn't plan for my first video to be a debunk video, but I guess this was written before anything else, so why not? In the firing line today we have Backpocket Game Reviews, who tells us why he prefers console to PC. He will explain to us the various reasons why he just has to play on the console at home. Obviously I'll be interjecting to put the counter-argument across, and that'll happen in due time. So you know I won't be taking him out of context, the link to the original video will be in the comments section, as will any reference I make. I'll also be trying to avoid ad hominems as much as I can. I'm nice like that, you know. Game footage is from the PC port of Transformers Devastation. The relevance will become clear later. Take it away, Maestro.
Hey guys, welcome back to Backpocket Game Reviews. And I know it's been a while, guys, but, well, you know, here I am. Sorry, the end of the year was a little packed with stuff I had to do. So, I wanted to do a video today, though, and this is something that I keep getting asked a lot. So this is going to kind of hopefully explain it a little better. But why I prefer console over PC. I'm assuming there are like half of you, it's probably a little less than half of you, because PC gaming doesn't make up the vast majority of the market, but I'm sure some of you are booing and hissing at what I just said right now.
Okay, so less than a minute to our first inaccuracy. Yes, PC gaming is the smallest market in the USA when it comes to generated revenue, behind mobile, with consoles taking majority share of around 50%. But this figure doesn't reflect around the world at all. For example, in the UK, the console and PC market is split evenly at 21%, but in contrast, the Germany figures jump from 19% on consoles to 39% playing on PC, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. A Digital Trends article states that worldwide interactive entertainment generated $91 billion last year. The majority of the market was mobile with $40.5 billion, the second being the PC market with $35.8 billion, the third being consoles with $6.6 billion made, just over 1/6 of the PC market. In the largest gaming market in the world, China, the prominent platform of choice is PC. In India, it's a similar story. Brazil has massive import taxes to the point of a PlayStation 4 costing $1,800. In the description, I will link articles explaining why this is the case. To say that PC doesn't make a large percent of the market just reeks of lack of research. Anyway.
So with that being said, my reasoning is going to be very straightforward. None of it's going to be anything that you can really counter-argue easily.
Are you sure? Are you really sure? I'm sure I can.
And keep in mind too, I'm very PC literate. I modified my laptop. I have 2 hard drives running in my laptop, took my disk drive out, put in a new one. I've built computers from the ground up for people. There's just reasons that I don't prefer gaming on a PC. Now, with that being said, I do play some games on my PC. It's not like I'm like completely anti-PC gaming. I have Gears of War 4 on my laptop. My laptop can't run Gears of War 4. My wife's can, because she opted to get one with a graphics card, even though she doesn't game. Mine has integrated graphics on my laptop. I do have Overwatch on here. Overwatch runs just fine. I have the entire Half-Life series. I have Counter-Strike. I have Vampire Masquerade, Civ 5. So it's not like I don't play any PC games. I just prefer console.
Claiming PC literacy really isn't evidence to validate your argument. Anyone with a spare 2.5-inch hard drive can swap out a laptop drive, unscrew the protective panel, take the old one out, put the new one back in, and refix the panel. Disk drives are more complicated, but not by much. Building a PC now is more akin to expensive Lego than wizardry and having an electrical engineering master's degree. I had no prior knowledge of building computers before my first one, but with a YouTube and a video call to my friend within 2.5 hours of motherboard box opening, I was booting the computer with Windows 10 installed. It was working. With claims to play games on your PC, why didn't you opt for a laptop with a graphics card? When you say Overwatch runs fine, what do you mean by fine? If you can get 60 FPS on Overwatch with an iGPU, good for you. But anything less really isn't fine for an online-only FPS. But anyway.
By the way, if any of you want to follow me on battle.net, I don't know how to add people on that.
So you play online, but you don't know how to add people on Battle.net? Do you not know how to use Google? In case you do see this video, there's a useful link to an FAQ on how to do this. Literally took me 15 seconds to find.
But it's false Jesus. Not that that should have came as a shocker. And my Steam ID is false Jesus as well. So why I prefer console over PC, and it's not going to be an argument of, oh, well, console has better graphics. Obviously it doesn't. It doesn't. So PC is definitely a pricier route to start. I mean, a $500 PC is going to be similar to that of the newer consoles. Not like worlds better than the newer consoles.
This old chestnut. It's a pricier route to start argument. It is fairly easy to get a PC for $500 that would compete with or even outperform a console in the US using new parts. The PC part picker link in the description is to a build that I made for below $500, including a Blu-ray drive, an extra case fan for cooling, and a keyboard and mouse. You know, for parity's sake. This includes mail-in rebates and was correct at the time of the video. This PC will be more than adequate to hit a large majority of the AAA games on the market right now at 1080p in high settings at 60 frames per second. This isn't even going the second-hand route. For that, check out Germ Gaming's The Potato Masher series, a PC for $375 that outperforms the consoles. So for the price of an Xbox One at launch, you can get a PC that will pretty much play anything in full HD at 60 FPS, something the Xbox One can't even do now that developers have got used to the architecture. It's $100 more than the PS4 Pro, but let's not forget the PSN subscription is around $60 and you need to buy a game as well. But you don't have any games with the PC either, I hear you cry. Steam has an entire section dedicated to free-to-play games, meaning you don't need to pay for a game to start with. And let's not forget the frequent bundles Nvidia or AMD give when you buy their graphics cards. But what about an operating system, people will ask? Well, SteamOS and Linux are free operating systems, and a Windows 10 license will cost you about $30 on sites like Kinguin, so for $530 you can have a PC with Windows and games. Which coincidentally is the same as a PS4 Pro, 1 year of PSN and a game. And let's not forget the long game here. Paying retail for new console games in Ireland is €75. PC games on Steam cost anywhere between €50 and €60 on launch. So the moment you buy your second game, you've already saved money using either of the suggested builds above. And that's if you don't use places like CD Keys, Green Man Gaming, and a myriad of other places that sell games at a much lower price.
So I don't really understand when people go, yeah, I built a $500 gaming PC. Like, if you're gonna build a gaming PC, go big or go home. Just buy so you won't have to upgrade in a while.
Go big or go home? Why? What if you want to play games on PC to experience their true potential, but can't afford more than $500-600 or your regional equivalent? You can play games that look way better and perform way better than a console for a similar price. And buy so you don't have to upgrade in a while? People are still using first generation i5 and i7 processors which are now 7 years old and playing modern games better than on console. We have just got to a point where the GTX 550 graphics card is a minimum specification for a majority of games, which will make them 6 years old this year. There seems to be a lack of distinction between want and need to upgrade when it comes to console gamers.
I'm not saying you have to buy like an i7, you can get like an i5 and like a 1080 and that's gonna... I mean, your CPU isn't as relevant with gaming as what your GPU is. It's still nice to have a nicer CPU, especially if you're starting to do stuff like 3D rendering or any kind of higher end video editing.
Yeah, you're right there. You don't need an i7 for gaming. And yeah, you're right. An i5 does absolutely fine. I've got one. It's fantastic. Hell, you'd be able to game with an i3 6100. Hell, you'd be able to game with the Pentium G4560, and we're not even touching what AMD's offering at the moment. And you'll do fine with a GTX 1080. That card's enthusiast level. That's for people who want some of the best performance in gaming on the planet. We're talking 4K resolution, ultra detail settings, at or around 60 frames a second, in modern AAA titles. It's ridiculous to simply say that this card should be okay and it'll do you for a while. As I said before, we are now at a point where minimum specs are looking at mid to high tier graphics cards from 6 years ago. When, at the time of your video, the only gaming oriented card that was higher in performance cost $1,200. I'm thinking maybe you need to do a little bit more research before you work out what is okay and will last you for a while. So, we're going to my system here. My system runs an overclocked i5 7600K, an MSI Armor OC GTX 1060 6GB, and 16GB of DDR4 RAM. I'll put a PC part picker link in the description below so you can see the finer details of my rig. I have friends who have been playing PC for some time, and when I told them about my specs, they were like, "Man, that's a solid rig." My PC is also my workstation. On this I'll be making music, doing college work, editing YouTube videos, and gaming, and possibly streaming later on. And for all these jobs, my i5 7600K runs absolutely fine. Sure, there's better CPUs on the market, but for what I need it for, it runs like an absolute trooper. And on top of that, my graphics card has multiple outputs. And you know what I benefit from when I'm doing all the other stuff that isn't gaming? I benefit from a dual monitor display. It means when I'm making music, I've got the mixer, instruments and effects on one screen with my full screen for my arrange page. In DaVinci Resolve, when I'm editing videos, I have my preview screens on the top monitor and the timeline on the bottom. When I'm doing college work, I have browsers open on one screen and Word on the other. It just allows for a lot more use to come out of the system. How much of that can a console do? At present, in Mad Max and Doom, I'm getting well over 100 frames a second at max settings. And this card is a mid-tier card for the latest releases from Nvidia. Germ Gaming has also proved that this card is capable of 1440p medium settings in The Witcher 3 and GTA 5, with frame rates still averaging over 60. Don't get me wrong, my build wasn't cheap. It's somewhere around the $1,000 mark, but it's now my primary platform for everything and will be until I need or choose to upgrade. For real world examples of the aforementioned budget build, the $500 build I had in PC Part Picker, I've included links in the description to videos of Battlefield 1 running on near identical hardware, as well as Digital Foundry's comparison of the same game on PS4, Xbox One and a PC, with an i5 6600K and the GTX 1050 Ti. Let's also not forget that Battlefield 1 is one of the more demanding games out there. Plus, let's also add some of the minimum specs for another pair of very demanding games, Ark Survival Evolved and Arma 3. You see that you need nowhere near an i5 and a 1080 to run these games, and only a bit more to run at the recommended settings. Honestly, it seems like you're relying on hearsay more than actual knowledge.
So, the biggest issues for me are, I love the Xbox Live experience. I like how easy it is. I don't like having to go and get other different programs such as TeamSpeak and stuff like that just to be able to communicate easily. I do understand that Blizzard now has their own built-in communication. Steam might even have one as well. It's just Xbox does that all very flawlessly, and there's a lot of really nice features that they built into that community. I do understand a lot of PC gamers find that to be very novice, but it's one of the things I like is just the way that their online community functions.
So I'll let him run through this entire topic, as it can really be summed up with this. Steam can do everything you just laid out. There are friends lists, achievements, live messenger, Steam community, which includes FAQs and guides as well as many other features, Steamworks mods, an in-app browser, access to your entire music library with an in-service audio player and cross-game chat. How hard is this to access? You press Shift and Tab. Not only that, you can also access Twitch streaming, various live voice chat rooms, and a myriad of other software outside of Steam, especially if you have more than one screen set up. On top of this as well, Steam has a built-in FPS counter, allowing you to check on the fly the performance of your game. Not happy with your frame rate? You have an instant reference to real-world performance, allowing you to jump back into the settings and tweak to your heart's content to find your personal balance between performance and appearance. Can you do that on the Xbox? The best thing is yet to come. This is all free. Your community is limited and costs $60 a year. Does the Xbox have any features not available here? We don't say the online community has to be complicated, but surely having the options there for flexibility is better than not. And honestly, Steam's in-game UI isn't complicated. Honestly, it's not.
That would be one of the big reasons. So the next one is going to be, and I don't like having to worry about drivers. I don't like having to worry about compatibility modes. Half the games that I own on Steam, because I like to play older games on my PC, such as like System Shock, I have to go and I have to fiddle with compatibility modes for it.
First of all, you don't have to search for drivers. Windows tells you about any updates needed, and if you have Nvidia's GeForce Experience or AMD's equivalent, you get a notification when they're released. And that goes for any piece of software, in fact. I've never had to go hunting for updates. They're delivered to me as long as I'm connected to the internet and operating the software. I click download and it's automatically applied, usually within seconds while I'm doing something else. Also, compatibility modes. It's bizarre you've got this issue, because it's something I haven't encountered. I've run Tyrion through GOG, Shadow Warrior Classic Redux Edition through Steam, Beyond Good and Evil through Uplay, and Dungeon Keeper through Origin on my Windows 10 Skylake-based home theater PC without having to do that. Plus, there's also pieces of software like DOSBox, so for those games that don't come with it already embedded in the software, you can boot them through that. And finally, System Shock has been retooled to work on modern operating systems, so that really shouldn't be happening.
I like the ease of use with Xbox, where it's just done. If there's an update, it's automatically going to tell me. I don't have to go look for the newest update for my graphics card driver to solve X problem with X frame rate issue. So, simplicity of use would be another big reason.
So here we are, just over a third of the way through, and this is interjection number 10. Oh my. 10 interjections in 5 minutes. I've kind of addressed this before, but if he can repeat himself, so can I, right? You don't have to go looking for drivers. They appear automatically for you to download. And what's this searching for X driver for X frame rate issue? What does that even mean? Okay, sure, an older driver may not be as well optimised, so you might lose a couple of frames here and there, but it's rare that there's any major problems. I have no frame rate issues, but then again, I suppose everything I've thrown at my PC usually runs over 100 frames a second anyway, according to the FPS counter in Steam, so even if my frame rates plummet by 20 or 30 frames a second, I don't feel it because my monitor's refresh is 60 Hz. And talking of bad frame rates, the Xbox One runs most games at 30 frames a second, somewhere between 720p and 900p resolution. There isn't a driver in the world that can fix the frame rate issues with your hardware.
I don't have a lot of spare time to game. I have 2 kids, I work full time, and then I do YouTube pretty consistently. Like I take YouTube very seriously. My channel is very important to me. You guys are very important to me. So when I sit down to play my game, being able to just up and go is fantastic.
I don't have time to game on PC. Sorry if I sound like I'm getting lazy, but Jesus H. Christ on a bike. In the name of Cthulhu, these reasons that you're going to be giving us that are impossible to counter-argue are ones that literally everyone uses. Current consoles have updates too. The main difference being that your PC download bandwidth isn't restricted like it is on consoles, so those updates take less time and run in the background so I can get on with other stuff. I have a wonderful real-world example here. When Ubisoft were giving away The Crew for free on their Uplay service, I downloaded it to see if it would run on my home theatre PC. It didn't, but that doesn't matter. It took a whole 12 minutes to download on our 240 megabit a second broadband line, wide connection, somewhere around 7 or 8 PM, so peak time. When I went to download DC Online Universe on my PS3, using a same wired connection on the same broadband download speeds at 2 a.m. I gave up after 45 minutes because the game was 5% downloaded. That's the kind of caps you experience on a console service. Modern consoles are also still using 5400 RPM hard drives, so encounter painfully long loading times. My PC boots from cold in about 15 seconds using an SSD, including the time it takes me to input my password. All my games are stored on a standard 7200 RPM hard drive, which is less than $50, and I never wait a minute to start a single player game. Yet talking to friends who play games on consoles, to jump into Doom can take 2 to 3 minutes to load. Tell me more about the time you don't have to waste on PC gaming. Sure, building your own takes an afternoon, but once it's built, that's it. It's plug and play. It just works. Just like your Xbox One does. Anyway, carry on.
There's less updates. We all know Windows likes to update. Microsoft, I don't know why you can update your Xbox One service. I get it. There's more security issues on Windows, but that's going to be another big one. It's just so ease of online community, ease of use.
More security issues on Windows means more updates. I can't remember the last time our workflow was interrupted with a mandatory update from Microsoft in my knowledge. I mean, Defender may have updated, but that auto-updates anyway, and it does it in the background, so I don't even notice it happening. It's funny that people talk about the security of the Windows platform. With anything where any form of user freedom is allowed, some kind of self-awareness is required. I personally haven't had a problem with viruses on either of my own PCs, and I only use Windows Defender. Funny that.
Oh man, this next one's probably going to get me drug out through the woods. I feel console has better exclusives. I'm not saying PC doesn't have great exclusives. I like Civ 5 a lot, but it's not Halo. I get eventually Halo will come back to PC. Gears already came back to PC, but then you don't have Uncharted. I like that. I think those games should all be available on both, by the way. If you have a PS4 exclusive, it should be available on PC as well. But I get Sony doesn't want to work too well with PC either because Microsoft, again, owns them. So it is a sticky little situation that I just worded off right there. But a lot of my favorite exclusives are on my console. Sorry. So sorry. Please don't hunt me down.
So I let this one play out because at the end of the day, preferring console exclusives is entirely subjective. What isn't subjective though is the fact that the PC has way more exclusives. So I can say with confidence that if there's an exclusive on the console, there will be an equivalent on the PC. It may not have the marketing budget or be as high profile, but I'd presume that there's something out there to counteract your lack of Halo or your lack of Uncharted. One thing I will state though is that Microsoft do not own PC. Their OS is the most prominent on the platform, but on top of that there's Linux and SteamOS. In fact, I've got an article linked in the description below that suggests 15 alternatives to Windows 10. Okay, one of those options is a legacy Windows, but it's still an impressive list. Most of them are open source as well, so they are free to use. This is a nitpick in comparison to the others, but at the end of the day, I might as well make the point. And also, my final point here. Didn't Microsoft, the company that make your preferred console, announce that all future Xbox exclusives are coming to PC? I mean, the downside is that they're using the Universal Windows platform, but they're still there in the Windows Store for all PC owners to play. And I won't deny, the free version of Forza 6 Apex looks amazing when forced to render at 4K, even on 1080p monitors, and again on my graphics card, runs at 60 frames a second on high to very high settings at that resolution.
Then, next, would be this. I like to play with my kids every so often, and PC doesn't cater to split screen. There's really not a lot of opportunity or options for you to do split screen. Actually, I don't really know of any off the top of my head that supports split screen on PC. Not only wrong, he could always sit on his desktop and I could sit on my laptop. My son's 5. I want to sit next to my son. I want to play maybe like some Mario or something with him. I can do that. I can sit right next to him.
Ah, the old PC doesn't do split screen or local co-op. Thanks to watching Rags, I am now aware of this wonderful site Co-Optimus, which actually tells you what games are co-op in online, split screen and local flavours. So in order from lowest to highest, here are the amount of local co-op games by platform. Bringing up the rear, we have the Wii U with 20 local co-op games. In third, we have your preferred platform, Xbox One, with 29. In second is the PS4 with 37. And number 1 is the PC with 59 local and split-screen co-op games. There are more local co-op totals on PC than there is on PS4 and Wii U combined, and are over double that of the Xbox One. One example of a game with local co-op is Castle Crashers, which is available on the 360 as well. Me and my wife have a friend with a 10-year-old son. When they come over, my wife and her sit talking about whatever women talk about, and myself and her son go upstairs to my PC. He brings his Xbox controller, we bring up a spare chair, we sit and play Castle Crashers together on the same screen on the PC. Again, before making decisions on hearsay, maybe you should do your research before spreading misinformation to your subscribers that you care about, and take away time from playing games.
That, and no Nintendo games are on PC unless you have Mario typing. I had it when I was younger. It's pretty sweet.
So there's no Mario games on the PC apart from Mario typing. Or any of the other ones from any Nintendo system, as at the time of making this video, the only Nintendo console that doesn't have an emulator available is the Switch. This comes to the point that I haven't had to raise as you like older PC titles. That is the point of the PC's backwards compatibility. It can emulate almost any system that's been released so far except for the Switch, PS4 and Xbox One. And frequently these emulators have mods allowing for higher frame rates and resolutions. For example, the Dolphin emulator will allow you to play GameCube and Wii games in 4K resolution, and I believe it even has UHD texture packs. Cemu, the Wii U emulator, does the same thing, and apparently Breath of the Wild looks stunning with the 4K texture packs on. On top of that, the PC has a library going back to the 80s, some of which can be played for free either in browsers or are available on abandonware sites. You want to play PS1, PS2 or PS3 games on your PS4? Your option is to rebuy digitally or subscribe to PS Now if you're in a country that supports it. Oh, and that's available on the PC too.
I still can't type, but it happens. Work on computers, fix computers for a living, sell computers for a living. I can't type. I am a picker. I have to look at the keyboard, which is going to bring us into our last and final reason of why I prefer console to the PC. You can all get your pitchforks and torches ready because I'm pretty sure that's about to happen. I am terrible with the mouse and a keyboard. I understand where a lot of you love that sensation of being able to pick someone off real quick. I'm good with a controller. I'm really good with the controller. I get it. A lot of you be like, well, why don't you just use a controller on your PC? Because that means that every online game I play isn't going to be fun. Because you're going to have faster movement than I do.
Right, so here's my story. I built my PC 3 months ago. The first game I played was Doom 2016. Oh, amazing game. I love it so much. I figured seeing as this was my platform of choice, I was going to go through learning how to play with mouse and keyboard, knowing full well that if worst comes to worst, I can still use my controller. Day 1 took a while to get used to it. Day 2 was a bit better. And then on day 3, everything clicked. I bumped up the difficulty and vowed never to touch a controller for first-person games ever again. The objective benefits were obvious. This is a control scheme I despised in the late 90s, coming from OG Doom and Duke 3D to Unreal Tournament and Quake. I can now circle strafe, jump, dodge, aim and fire accurately simultaneously, which is impossible on a controller. Yeah, it requires a few days adjustment, but once you've got it, you've got it. Any online gaming isn't going to be fun. I play The Crew with a controller as I hate keyboard and mouse for driving. That's always connected to the internet. Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition, or any fighting game for that matter, I wouldn't dream of using a keyboard due to character selection. I don't use charge characters, so quarter circle forward, half circle back movements would be impossible. Platformers can go either way, but they're not really online.
You're going to be able to snipe me before I probably even have my reticle near you.
Oh, you're on about first-person shooters. That's because on a controller you have auto-aim, maximum sensitivity, and limited movement distance with the analog sticks. You admit it is objectively better to use a keyboard and mouse, but won't take a few gaming sessions to learn it. That's on you.
I'm just not good with it. Literally, it would be like watching Helen Keller play in MLG, is essentially what it would be like. And that would be if I were playing like against a group of 5-year-olds. I am just not good with the mouse and a keyboard. I took a typing class in high school. If that tells you how old I am, I get you all are now expected to know that, which is weird to me. I have to look at the keyboard. I cannot remember where keys are. A, S, W, and D are just so awkward for movement controls. It just feels so weird, and it hurts my head. And I get it. A lot of you are like, oh, well, the more you do it, the better you'll get. I've been typing on a computer for decades. I mean, we're talking decades. My first computer was Windows 95. Okay? It's been a while. It's been a really long time. I still have not gotten much better at typing.
There's a bit of a ramble here, but let's narrow it down. Typing on a keyboard and gaming on a keyboard are two completely different things. Typing has your hands in one position, gaming in another. When I'm typing, my hands are more central so the keys aren't a stretch, whereas in gaming my fingers are located directly over W, A, S and D, with every other commonly found button within easy reach of the rest of the hand. It's a control scheme that has been developed over 2 decades now, and refined to a point where even a noob like myself doesn't even consider key location. For example, E is in use in a lot of games, so I lift my index finger up one key. I'm not going to need that while strafing, so it doesn't matter. Space is jump, so if I'm circle strafing round an opponent and it launches rockets at me, I can jump dodge them while still aiming, firing and moving. It becomes muscle memory, just like using a controller.
Don't get me wrong, I was slow then. I'm a really fast picker now. Like, I'm probably the best picker on the planet. There is no person who is a better keyboard picker than me. But, so those are the big reasons too, especially because playing against people with a mouse and a keyboard isn't fun when you have a controller. In a game like Halo 2, yeah, I was able to hold my own because I'm really good at Halo. But when I go from console, where I am number one against everyone with a controller, because I hold my own and I do really well in console games, to being mid-range to bottom tier, that's not fun. It's literally like I'm trying to overcome a handicap while going against you all. Like, I'm blind and I'm trying to fight you all, essentially. Because, I mean, that's what it is. A lot of times I'll look down while trying to do something to maybe throw a grenade or drop Soldier 76's health field. I cannot use a mouse and a keyboard. It hurts my head.
If you play the victim, you will be the victim. Sorry.
Single player games, yeah, I'm fine with using a controller. And I do like that almost every game that comes out nowadays has controller support built right in on PC. But some still don't, and you have to go use a profiler, and I don't want to map my own controller. Really, what they should do is when you, like, say I use my Xbox One S controller and it's Bluetooth, and they see that that's plugged in, they should go, do you want to use the Xbox setup for this game? Yeah, I do. Just go ahead and automatically select that one. Or if I plug in a DualShock, they should be like, do you want to use the Sony setup for this game? Yes, I do. Most of these games are ports. You already know which ones. So it's that simple. That's simple. That's something I think companies should go out of their way to do.
I know you may have been told differently, but automatic controller mapping is real. Windows 10 auto-detects Xbox One controllers. Steam natively supports DualShock 4 controllers now. In fact, with an Xbox One pad, Uplay gives button prompts so you can navigate the application itself with a controller. All modern games that can support a controller do. If it can't, then it won't. RTS games generally won't because there's too much going on for the restricted controller to be able to cope. Platformers, FPS, racers, fighting games, RPGs with some exceptions, generally allow for controllers. In fact, most games will default to controller prompts until you actually start using the keyboard and mouse. The demo of Resident Evil 7 actually has vibration function on the controller when using keyboard and mouse. It's a little bit frustrating, but it just goes to show how integral controllers are to PC ports now. By saying, do you want to use the Sony/Microsoft layout for this, is pretty much how it plays out. Over the past 15 plus years that these controller shapes have been the standard, the common button maps have been noted. Ever wonder why the control schemes for specific genres are nearly universal across all platforms? That's because they're the most efficient mappings for these input devices. That's why in first-person shooters, fire is mapped to either the right trigger or R2, why jump is A or cross, why reload is X or square. And by playing the same game on a PC with controller, these are usually the default controller bindings. The difference being that if you don't like these, most games will offer ability to rebind them to something you would find more comfortable. And as above with Uplay, usually the on-screen prompt will be adjusted for your rebinds. But anyway, enough of this. Let's get to the inevitable conclusion about this video. Something makes me think that it'll be something to do with games being ported.
And this is just a bonus here. Certain games that come out on console are ported to PC, and they do such a terrible job on the ports, i.e. Batman Arkham City, or Arkham Knight, I'm sorry, which was a great game on the console, fantastic game on the console. We're like 2 years after release now, and I still hear that game has major issues on a PC.
Told you! The illustrious legacy of the bad PC port. Ah yes, ports on the PC are just rubbish in comparison to those on the consoles. No one ever denies the purely abysmal original release of Arkham Knight. But at the cost to Warner Brothers, it got pulled, reworked by Rocksteady, and re-released later. But how did it fare, you may ask? The reviews from the last 30 days are very positive, meaning over 80% of the reviews were good or better. It may not be 100% perfect, but the optimization has been vastly improved. In fact, it runs way better on standard hardware now than on the PS4, which still is 30 frames a second. So, let's actually look at a bad PC port now, shall we? Remember when I said that the gameplay was going to be relevant? Well, here is its time to shine. Transformers Devastation is, in all manners of the word, a poor PC port. The game experiences screen tearing despite running at a locked 60 frames a second without VSync on a 60Hz monitor. The menus are also bare bones, meaning there is very little customization. I still love playing this game. Why? Because it still looks and feels a ton better than the PS4 version when playing it on my PC. The frame rate, although capped at 60 frames a second, is locked there at all times. The PS4 version when I played it looked soft around the edges and had large dips during battles which, considering it's a spectacle fighter, happens quite a lot. It isn't the case of the PC getting bad ports, which is the issue with your comment as you aren't lying, but if a PC port reaches the inconsistency levels or dips to console standard, then it gets destroyed by the community. The PC community doesn't stand for ports like Batman Arkham Knight, which is why 99% of bad ports either get ignored or patched. Look at Mafia 3 on the PC. It was launched at a locked 30 frames a second. PC gamers kicked off big style, requested refunds, and refused to play the game until it was sorted. Within 24 hours, there was a new patch with an unlocked frame rate. So going back to consoles, it still makes me laugh that Sony thought that Life of Black Tiger should be advertised on their official YouTube channel. A game that's a mobile port that could barely get past 20 frames a second. Come on, it's not the PC that has bad versions of games.
So, those are the reasons why I game on console and not on a PC. I'm sure a lot of you are going to have some complaints here in the comment section. Just you let me know. You let me know if I am just wrong and overlooking everything, which I'm sure I'm going to hear down there. Or instead, if you enjoyed the video, because here's the thing. We shouldn't look at gaming as, oh, you're this as an Xbox, or oh, you're this as in Sony, or you're this as an Intel, or oh, you're this as an AMD. Because, yeah, not just PC gaming, but then PC gaming splits too, because you have a lot of people who are going to tell you Intel versus AMD. I'm Intel, by the way. Everything I buy has Intel inside. AMD cannot make a solid processor anymore. Good graphics cards, their processors are just meh. But drop a like if you enjoyed the video. I hope you did. I did. I enjoyed explaining this because I get asked this all the time in the comments. Launch game on PC. Oh, you're a console peasant. I've also gotten some more hurtful things said. I know they're all in good jest. I'm just saying, our main goals as gamers are to play good games. So, and I'll play good games no matter what they're on. Is if that's the only way I can play them, is on that console. So, or PC or whatever. But guys, thanks for watching. Give me a like if you enjoyed the video. If you haven't already, too, be sure and subscribe. And if you're new here, hi, welcome to the community as well. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll have some more videos coming for you soon.
So here we are at the conclusion of the video. To be honest, I don't think there really is a point where we can truly scream console peasant at him. It felt like he was rambling, so maybe it wasn't scripted. I hope to God it wasn't. It felt like he just plucked reasons from the air and poorly explained them. Platforms shouldn't be a focus in gaming. Preference doesn't matter. If you see this video and still think that you want to buy a current generation console, then I won't stop you. The thing I take an issue with, and the reason behind this video, is the disingenuous statements and reasons he made, and stated he had reasons that were impossible to debunk. Unfortunately, it boiled down to the same excuses the majority of people have when they make these videos, just minus the general ad hominems that are involved. It seems like a real response to comments, and although his video was full of inaccuracies, he didn't seem like a fanboy telling everyone to buy a console over a PC. The only problem is that he was poorly informed and neglected research to back up his claims. Anyways, that's me done for now. Tell me what you think by liking or disliking and commenting. If you want to see more from me in the future, feel free to subscribe. Ta me old mates.